I'm so excited Hugh's not here tonight.
Thank God Hugh's not going to be on the show. The show's going to be so much better, Meg. It'll be so much better.
It won't be so angsty like a teenager.
With the anger and the hate and the beautiful scenery behind it. Fuck all that.
Loving free expression and hippie peeps all night long.
Oh, I get to go to San Diego. Yes. What the fuck is that shit?
He can go yell at the dependas and birds flying by.
Yeah. Oh, the bird shit's on him right on the balcony.
Oh shit, I spilled wine on myself.
Meg, what's up?
Hey Billy, how's it going? Sorry, I literally just spilled wine on myself.
Oh, that's fucking great.
I was like,
so this is going to be a great show today because Hugh's not here.
yes, he is failing a test right now.
Yeah, I hope he does fail that test. Oh, look at me. I'm trying to achieve shit, go to school and have a job and be in the military.
Whoa. I'm going to school right now.
Yeah, we're making fun of Hugh, though. Shut the fuck up. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining Liberty Risk Podcast. I'm Billy.
And I'm Megan.
Oh, see, we don't have any of the stupid little banter anymore either with Hugh.
Yeah.
So. No, we do miss him, though. I do miss him.
Oh, that's one of us.
Yeah. Oh, shit. So shitty.
That's shitty. Okay. He yelled at me yesterday, so it's fine.
Did he?
Yeah, because I woke him up too early, and I was like, oh, does someone need their nappy naps?
It's so hard to remember that he's 3 hours behind us. So it's like, while we're in there, like trying to organize this podcast in our, behind the scenes chat room.
That sounds so dirty. That sounds like we're talking to like Maxine Giswell or something. Like,
get on the plane behind the scenes.
Come into bed with me, child.
There was a list released today, and I'm very angry at a lot of the names on it. It's making me very sick to my stomach to see the names. It's just.
Well, if you think that makes you sick to your stomach, apparently, you know how there's that whole thing where pedophiles are like, we want to be accepted by the LGBTQ plus community. So these pedophiles now have given themselves a name, and they are called MAP, which means minor attracted person.
What?
So they're attracted to minors. They like come out. They're like, yeah, I'm a MAP person. And you're like, what the fuck is a map? You enjoy maps?
Someone, okay, Dora the Explorer. What the fuck is this shit? Map. And that's when someone should come up behind them with a 50 caliber fucking handgun and just blow their head off.
Yeah, if anyone asks, be like, they like children.
Yeah, like.
Can't blame me.
Put them in general population in a fucking prison and see what happens.
Oh my God. Gen Pop, they would literally be like.
Gen Pop.
Their booty would belong to so many people within one day. And honestly, like, I don't feel bad saying that with our discussion going on later. But like, fuck those people because they have some serious mental illnesses going on.
Oh, absolutely. It's absolutely atrocious and sickening, and it's just I don't see. It's so hard for me to form words to try to talk about that stuff because my brain doesn't work that way. Like I'm not
use your hands. What do your hands want to do?
There
you go, Billy. There.
Good Italian. Good Italian.
Use your hands. That's how we talk.
Use your hands, sweetheart. Tell the story with your fingers.
This is how they do it in the military. You knife hand people.
What the fuck?
Uppercut.
Yeah.
Or then, like, if you slide in from, like, the side of the room. Like, ninja style.
So gross.
Oh, God. I love doing that to people. When I was in, I'd see somebody eating a sandwich. I'd be like, what are you eating? It was always somebody who was like grossly overweight and they were eating like a really nasty sandwich, and I'd be like, go on a diet.
So, speaking of that, when I was stationed in Oceana, I got to tell the story that you said that we had a DOD officer. Oh, his only job that he was physically capable of doing was sitting inside the main gate guard shack in front of the oh shit barrier button, which is the pop-up barriers.
Yeah.
That's all he could do was sit.
Did he fit in there?
His fat ass And I'm not saying this to be mean. I'm saying this because this man was literally over 400 pounds and he was 5'7".
That's like a little taller than me.
And he
but
was a
you're over your
officer. Federal police officer. Okay. So I'm up there. It's like my third day at this command. And you have to go to every post, no matter what your rank, like E1 through E6, you go to every post and you just get signed off real quick. You stand the watch one time and it familiarizes you with the base. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm standing main gate for the day. No big deal. Already knew it was coming. And this guy's in there. I can't remember his name. I didn't want to know his name. So the other gate guard, which was like an E2, he's like, hey, he's going to order pizzas later and soda. I'm like, oh, that's cool. He goes, no, not for us. For him, just let the guy that he goes, he does it every day. Just let the delivery driver behind the guard shack and he'll go in and just, it's the same guy. Well, okay. Oh, here we go. Here we go. There's trouble.
Oh, fuck.
What the fuck is this?
We were so excited not to have you.
Man.
You know that scene in Ford v Ferrari when shut up.
No, we don't. No one's seen that movie.
Well, for those watching, there's a scene in which Carroll Shelby puts Henry Ford II in his $9 million sports car and puts it up to like 180 miles an hour. And Ford, never having been that fast or that reckless, basically cries at the end of it after being in intense peril and scared for his life. That was his final exam I just took. Yeah.
You were scared for your life?
Well, mostly because if I don't pass, I have to take it again, and I'm tired of not doing what I want to do for a living. So,
So the important question I have for you is, have you changed your shorts between now and then?
Well, I had my uniform on when I took it because I had to come right from the office.
You did?
Yeah, I'm out of my uniform. Yeah.
He's got the shit stains gone. Now we're ready to go.
So just so everyone knows, I don't know why, but for some reason, StreamYard's having a glitch right now, and I cannot see any of the comments.
I can.
So
I can't click on
unfortunately, I cannot post them up, but continue the comments. We will get to them after the show.
I will tell you that our favorite Marine just posted.
World Showcase Marine.
Hey, what did he say? Went from huge straight to pedos. Great segue. So I'm following him on my tablet. So I'm gonna try to keep the best I can. So back to this federal DOD officer. So we get the pizza. It's a fucking deep dish meat lovers pizza with stuffed crust.
My favorite.
Okay. And a 2-liter of Mountain Dew.
Please tell me he didn't have kids, because that probably burned all his sperm out.
Takes the pizza, rolls the pizza up. Oh, hold on. He also makes sure to tell them not to fucking cut slices, to just leave the pizza. Rolls it up, picks it up, and eats it like a flippin' burrito.
This man is very smart, I will say.
And then takes the Mountain Dew and doesn't pour it in a glass, starts chugging it and squeezing it into his mouth. I'm sitting here watching this, jaw dropped to the floor. I look at the other kid and I'm like, what the fuck is happening right now? He goes, I don't know, man. He does this every day.
That's fucking nasty.
Every single day, 5 days a week. The kid goes, I have no clue how the fuck he's alive.
That's insane.
He probably had a heart attack while on duty, and then when he face planted forward, hit the button, and the whole thing went up and damaged 5 cars.
So fucked up.
But it's true. That's probably what happened.
So Meg, why don't you tell everyone about our guest who's waiting patiently in the green room?
We have the honor of having a super special guest tonight. Her name is Taylor Larsen. She is part of the We Are Vanessa Gillen movement. She is one of the admins for the Facebook group, and they just recently started an Instagram. And we are so excited to have her talk to us about what they have going on.
So let's bring her in now. Taylor.
Hi, what's up?
Hey, Taylor.
What's up? It's good to have you with us. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on our podcast. We really, truly appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So why don't you tell everyone kind of real quick what the movement's about and kind of like where you're trying to take the movement.
So WAVG 1020, it stands for We Are Vanessa Guillen. This ends now, 2020. It was founded in honor of Vanessa Guillen, the Army specialist who was murdered after telling her family and friends that she's being sexually harassed in the workplace by her superiors. So I started this Facebook group about a month ago, and we have about close to 14,000 active duty female service members and veterans.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Oh my God.
Our goal mainly is to change the policies in the military that are existing as far as sexual assault and sexual harassment to make it a safer military for women and future female generations, as well as just provide a safe place for women to tell stories and seek the resources that they need.
That's pretty awesome.
That's amazing.
That's a lot of people in a short amount of time.
Active duty.
And vets, yes.
And vets. Wow, that is.
Is there?
That's just impressive.
Go ahead, Meg.
It might be good to know the majority. I mean, the last time I've been part of it since it was 2,000 members. The majority of these people are Navy, which is fine and all, but we're definitely wanting to see more representation from the other branches. And I know you guys have mentioned that. You've been like, hey, if you know people from Army, Marines, Air Force, Coast Guard, DOD, like, please invite them in, because this is not just a Navy issue. This is all over. This is a blanket statement for all military branches.
Absolutely. It's mainly Navy affiliated right now, but our goal is to have equal representation across the military branches represented in the group.
Hugh, did I just see you drink straight out of a whiskey bottle?
Yes, I just took a very tough final, and I know what's coming on this episode. Okay, listen, I don't
better have tears in there.
Listen, I don't tell you how to prepare for things.
I hope
it's a long day today.
Right on your cigar, right on the tip of the cigar.
I gotta be like that, man.
Because I'm not there smoking.
Is it my background?
You shut the fuck up. You're beautiful.
Are you in San Diego?
I'm up at Wainimi. But see, even Taylor's like, oh, look, it looks like that out here too. See,
yeah,
I'm not the other one.
I say this all joking around, but I hate you both. Anyway,
Taylor,
it was 78 this morning here and 100% humidity. It was disgusting. Like,
oh, it might be like a balmy 76 right now.
Balmy.
Taylor, what? All right, so like everybody knows that Facebook groups, they all do something a little bit different.
Yeah, Pit Boy.
Nerds. What is the general content that you guys have going through your Facebook page?
The general content so far has just been women sharing their stories and experiences of sexual assault and sexual harassment in the military, as well as posting protests, protesting about MST in the military and trying to get our voices heard. So organized protests, where they're at, what time they're at, as well as just new ideas to put forth on how we can implement change in the military in general.
Damn. So almost at any point in time when you get on this page, there's a news story about somebody being assaulted or raped.
Yes.
Jeez.
It's heavy for sure.
Yeah, that's got to take an emotional toll just to, I mean, are you
the only person who manages this page?
No, so I have about 15 other admins and then about 20 to 25 other moderators. So the admins kind of are in charge of like the big picture kind of stuff. And then the moderators are more so in charge of like approving posts, approving people, et cetera, et cetera. But we have our own separate group chat, and, a lot of times we'll be like different. Each of us will at one point will be like, guys, I need to take a break from the page for a while.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, it's just it takes a toll on you emotionally and mentally and all that stuff. I've had to take a couple of days from it myself just so I can, regroup and come back to it.
Well, and you've only been doing it for a month. It's not like 10 people the first week and then 13 the next week. It was like 8 people. Then you woke up the next day and you're at 1,800 all of a sudden.
Yeah, it was.
Oof.
I think I had 1,000 in a day or something.
Oh my Lord.
Or something like that. And then I woke up the next day and I had like 3,500 people.
Whoa.
And then the numbers just kept accumulating. It was insane.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
That people are not just putting themselves out there and you know, and just in a sense of following the page, you're kind of letting it be known. And that's, you know, the stand that, you know, you females are taking right now is absolutely inspiring and amazing. And like we've said it before, like we're very proud of everything you guys do. So I'm speechless. Like that's just unbelievable.
I know there's a lot of pages where you get a lot of the same people posting this a lot and or more so than other people. Do you get that, or do you have like every time you look, is it like a new person and a new story, or do you get a lot of repeat offenders?
There are, I'd say, like a group of people that post a lot and are really active with the group and just as passionate and active as I am about making change and bringing forth new ideas and things like that. But I'd say I see new people almost every single day making new posts
good.
and posting
It's not
stories. Yeah, it's good.
Not like you have 13,000 members and only 48 of them do anything.
Right.
You have, wow.
Everybody's pretty active. Yeah.
That's awesome, because I mean, not only did you provide a location for people to feel safe, but they actually feel comfortable sharing their situations and their stories with all of you.
Yeah, and there's like guidelines too. Like we have to go through a screening process before because we don't just let anybody in, you know, we have to make sure that we have security questions that they have to answer. So it'll be like, are you currently serving in the United States military? Are you a veteran? Why do you want to join this group? And then we have like 10 rules. And then we're like, do you agree to the group rules? And they have to answer all the questions. And then they also have to show a military affiliation on their profile too, because we get a lot of like, you know,
spam,
depend us for lack of a better term, trying to join, or people who are male or have no military affiliation whatsoever. So,
yeah. I remember when I first joined, I think there was 2,000 people. And I actually, Hugh, I was with you. It was when we went to Leashes of Valor for 4th of July.
That's right. I remember you telling me that.
I literally was like, Hugh, there's a page called We Are Vanessa Gillen. And I was reading the stories right before we got to Leashes of Valor. And I was like almost in tears. And that was when I first wrote my story on there. And I know that you guys have a rule now that's like, don't use any names or anything like that. And I definitely posted names. And I had somebody actually reach out to me, and she's like, I'm good friends with that person. And I was like, well, I am sorry to tell you, but this happened. And she was like, what? And it was all like kosher. It was all nice. Yeah, nothing was bad. I was like, I didn't say anything bad about him because it's done. It's over with. Like, I've moved on. And I have seen that page blow up. And even I've read these stories for like weeks, and I had to take several days off because I would literally be reading these and then go for a drive somewhere, and I would have such a bad panic attack that I would like literally black out, and I'd be like, I don't know where I am right now, but I need to like figure out where I'm driving to because I just don't even know what's going on anymore. So I'm glad that you guys like take a break from it. And I know you guys have another admin that I had originally reached out to named Jerry, and she is not here with us today because she is handling some personal items on her end. I don't know if you want to discuss it or not. That's totally up to you. I don't want to push the envelope on that at all. But this is not like being outspoken about this stuff is still a taboo to a lot of people.
It
like
is.
A lot of people out there, they see you post this stuff. They see that you're saying, hey, we have a voice. We have a right to report these things. Don't belittle us. Don't look down on us because we feel uncomfortable for these. And they're like, you should just accept this. And we get a lot of hate and a lot of stigma around reporting and speaking up for ourselves about the treatment that a lot of military women have received while in service. So have you, I'm going to ask you kind of personally, have you personally like gotten any kind of negative feedback in regards to starting this group and in your own personal life?
Not so far, no. Sorry, I just had a book fall off my desk. Everybody, everybody, and I try to keep it like, my family and my close friends obviously know about the group. But I have been trying to be more public about it on Facebook and social media platforms just to bring awareness and things like that. But so far, I haven't received any negative feedback. Now, that's not to say that people haven't, because, like you said with Jerry, she was posting, just trying to bring awareness. And this guy had just started harassing her out of nowhere and just saying messaging her all these really awful things, photoshopping her face into these really nasty pictures. And then she would block him, obviously, and he just keeps creating all these new accounts to try and harass her. So,
Jesus Christ.
yeah, it's difficult because, like you said, there is a taboo. There are people that aren't going to agree with it, or, that think, oh, well, the military's fine, everything's fine. And, there are negative connotations that come with that.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty impressive, Meg, that you put your story out there, had somebody tell you they know somebody, and then I thought the first thing you were going to say was that person was going to defend the person in your story. That's what I thought that you were going to say. I'm pretty surprised because I think a lot of the time the collective first instinct is to defend somebody. Like, oh man, I would have never thought. Like I didn't think that person was capable of that, and your person didn't do that. That's the kind of support that you guys, the collective you guys, need from each other, is not to put each other down or defend what somebody else did. And it's nice. You have 13,000 people in this group. Somebody, somebody who's just friends with that person. You might run into somebody else who's best friends with somebody else's attacker. And for them to be like, oh man, that sucks. I didn't, like, that person's an a-hole.
Well, and that's why
too, opposite direction.
We've had to, implement the rule of like not, when you're telling your story, to not use pictures of faces or names or anything like that, because just for fear, like possible backlash or reprisal of some kind. And it's like, look what happened to Vanessa too, So it's just a safety thing in general. And that's why we have that rule. Like, I get that people want to, that can be kind of a way to bring closure to some people as far as, oh, this is the person that did this to me, or spreading awareness about people. I understand that. But overall, it's a safety concern. And that's just why we had to go ahead and implement that rule.
Yeah, you don't want somebody in the group reaching out, say, hey, this person is saying this about you in this private group, and then screenshotting it and sharing it and whatnot.
Right. And then who knows what can happen. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then you might end up in a situation like Jerry's in now. Somebody, inadvertently, purposely creating extra accounts to harass somebody. Would you say the growth of your page, like we said, 13,000 is a lot of people in a month? Did these women? Did people just tell everybody, hey, there's this new group? Or did they invite people? Did you guys invite people? Did you post your links in a bunch of places?
So I invited everybody I knew in the military throughout my military career. And then originally, because I had the idea of the group came from just my frustration and just being absolutely heartbroken about Vanessa's story, because I heard time and time again, I know more women in the military that have been sexually assaulted or sexually harassed than women who haven't. And I think when this whole Vanessa story came out, it really kind of shed a light on like all these different female service members that had a really similar story. And I was just kind of expressing my frustration to a friend one night. And I'm like, I think I'm going to make a Facebook group. And he's like, well, I'll help you do it if you want. It should be female only, though. And so him and I created it together. He invited all the women he knew, and then he promptly left, like before anybody shared stories or anything like that. Yeah. So, and then I think it just goes to show you the magnitude of how serious of an issue this is in the military, just by the progression of how quickly the group had grown in such a little amount of time. So I think it was mostly just people inviting other people, because there'd be days where we would have over 1,000 requests, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like how are we going to get through these all? But my moderators I have a really awesome team, hardworking team of admins and moderators who were able to really get that list down. But yeah.
I'm sorry. I probably like that's 100 of those people were probably for me because
No,
immediately after I joined, I was like, this person, this person, this person, this person. I was
do
like,
not
all of these
apologize.
women. I went,
Yeah, do not apologize for that at all. We want people to know about it. We want people to be aware. But
Absolutely.
yeah, don't
Let me ask you,
apologize for that.
Megan, Taylor, the women that you invited, were they victims as well, or did you just invite them because they were women?
I
some,
invite. Go ahead, Megan.
go ahead. Okay, well, some of the women I invited, I had known a few of them had been harassed. I actually don't know anyone who has been a victim in the way that I have been a victim.
To be fair, I think that it's fair at this point to say that you probably know people who have, you just don't know that they have. I think at this point, with 13,000 members in a month, I think it's pretty fair to say that we all know more people than we realize who have been. Because otherwise, I don't think you would have grown that quickly.
No. So that's the thing. I didn't know that these women had ever dealt with anything while I was in. When I knew them personally, I didn't know, like I had known that some of them had been harassed and things had been said about them or they'd had something done to them, like not physical. But I didn't know anyone who had been assaulted to the degree that I had.
Okay.
And or had been like touched in any form. So when they came out, well, actually, a lot of the girls I used to work with, when I posted my story and everything, a lot of the girls I work with commented on it and they're like, I had no idea. And I was like, that's because all you had heard was what the rumors had wanted to tell you. So I actually have not seen that any of the women that I knew personally had posted a story. None of them have posted anything. So they might not be ready to come forward. Many of them now at my age have families and kids and they're all like well on their way because I'm a little older, but
they might be wanting to like move past it. They might want to see the growth of other people, but have decided or come to terms with, I don't really know if that's an appropriate term given what they may or may not have gone through, but they might be wanting to move past it at this point.
Yeah, it might not be something that they want to talk about and they're not ready to talk about openly.
Right.
So it's kind of been like here or there with things, but I definitely got a lot of support from the people I worked with. And actually, because of my statements, one of the guys I used to work with I think yesterday he went to DRB. So I'm literally waiting to hear back if he went to MAST.
Okay.
So
Taylor, what about you?
So like I said, I had known people that had been assaulted or harassed, but as far as women that I've met throughout my military career, so I actually conducted a poll and it was like, have you ever been sexually assaulted or sexually harassed during your time of service? Because I just kind of wanted to get an analysis of the group. And like over 1,000 women participated in the survey and 50%, and my math overall isn't going to be correct because I don't have the numbers with me right now, but like 50-something% said sexually harassed. I think close to like 39 or 40% said sexually assaulted. And then I believe somewhere between like 7 or 9% said they hadn't been sexually assaulted or harassed, but knew somebody that did or was. And then only 1% of women said that they never have been harassed or assaulted, nor knew anybody who had been. And just like looking through, because when you answer the poll, like your name and your face will pop up, like whatever option you clicked. So when I like clicked through and I looked through all of the results, I was like, there were people that I knew that I had no idea. You know what I mean? So I think it's just going off what Meg said and going off what you said as well. I think there's just so many more people that, haven't come forward or haven't told anybody about that, which they're not ready to. They don't want to. They're dealing with it in their own way. But it just goes to show you that it's affecting more people than we even realized, and I even realized before I started the group.
That's 10 people for the 1,000 that responded who have not been harassed or assaulted. 10 out of 1,000.
Or knew anybody that had been, yeah.
Or knew anybody. Jesus.
Yeah.
Man. And realistically, they probably know somebody. They just don't know it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Jesus fucking Christ.
So
We're a terrible gender.
with permission, Taylor, you sent us a bunch of stories that females that have had experiences wanted to share.
Mm-hmm.
So, we talked, we're going to share these on our page, but if everyone's okay, I'd like to read one of them now.
Absolutely.
So this is we're just going to go with the first name. This is from a lady named Caitlin. She was in the Navy, and she said, back in 2015, super excited to be part of the Navy, ignored all the jokes people made about how women get treated because women who recruited me told me everyone's got your back. It's a giant family. Almost immediately after getting to Corey Station for A school, the harassment started. I was harassed and had nasty rumors spread about me all throughout A and C school. Everything from people saying I got this is so small. Everything from saying I got trained by a bunch of guys, 2 guys I didn't even know bragging that they slept with me. I was so ready to get off the base thinking maybe things would be better. But not even a month after being in Virginia, I was assaulted by a fellow sailor from a different ship. The ER doc tried to bully me into an unrestricted report by trying to guilt me about future potential victims, even though I wasn't ready to do that. After being assaulted, I felt violated all over again, and getting a rape kit done and having photos taken while completely naked, embarrassed, and full of shame. I was given the pill cocktail, which made me extremely sick. I had people turn against me on my ship because I got 3 days of SIQ. At one point, I needed to go outside to get some air and call my family because being stuck in your tiny coffin-sized rack was giving me anxiety, and I couldn't take it anymore. While I was out on the upper deck, a chief came to yell at me because I wasn't in bed. How can anyone stay in a rack for 3 days straight at the bottom of a ship and not be able to call their family or just get a breath? Not long after that in Yorktown, I was knocked out on the way back from the bar because my head got in the way of a fight, and substantially I was knocked unconscious. They had to call a medical emergency. They had to call a medical emergency for me because I was going in and out of consciousness as I was taken to the hospital. I got back at about 4 or 5 in the morning and was told I could get 1 extra hour of sleep, but had to be ready for work at 7. My head was pounding. My glasses had been broken, and it hurt to open my mouth and chew food. During that shift, a female first class stopped me and basically told me it was my fault, and I put myself in that situation in front of everyone in the galley. From what I heard, the guy that hit me was from another ship and had a history of starting fights. His punishment after knocking me out was not allowed to leave the ship for the remainder of the time at Yorktown, which was only a few days. And of course, more rumors spread about what happened that night. I wound up with PTSD from the sexual assault, became extremely depressed and suicidal to the point after I spent a week of inpatient, I was moved from the ship to the hospital base until they found somewhere else to put me. I was treated horribly by a few I had considered friends. I finally got moved to a shore duty station to await processing of a med board. While on watch one day, a guy was making rape jokes and then looked at me and said, "Hey, if you're offended, let me know, but I'm not going to stop. And I'm not really going to care what you think anyway." I ended up staying in the hospital psych ward a total of 3 times before my discharge because things got so bad in my head, and again one more time after I got out. Even years later, people have things to say like they think I'm lying or I deserved what happened because I was a slut. I still struggle with my PTSD, depression, and anxiety. I still only get 4 or 5 hours of sleep max every night because of all the nightmares. That's just one story.
That's one. Hugh, do you want to read the other one or do you want me to? Because I have it in front of me. I'll read it if you want.
Right now, I'm like, before you do this, you're like, I don't know her, and I'm shaking right now because it makes me sick. Like, it makes me.
You're having like difficulty breathing.
Yeah, because it's.
You feel the choking in your chest.
It doesn't. Meg, we talked about this in the green room. Like, it doesn't, and I've said this before, it doesn't make sense to me because my mind doesn't operate that way. My mind doesn't think that way, that I should treat a female with that type of disrespect or any disrespect whatsoever. Maybe I had a great upbringing. I don't know. I'll thank my mom and dad for that. But I couldn't, not even that last statement, making jokes about rape and then looking at a female and going, hey, if this offends you, you know what, screw it. I don't really care anyway. I'm going to say it anyway. That doesn't make sense. That's not funny. Like, that's not, I don't, I'm at a loss for words. I don't.
And you know what, Billy? I've heard that same statement. That's not uncommon. Like, it's seriously not.
Like, it's really hard for me right now. I know I'm like fighting back the tears because.
Well, you have 2 daughters as well.
I have 3 sisters. I got nieces. It's just female friends. And it's the more we talk about this, which you and Hugh aren't going to stop. This is not something that's just going to be like, okay, next week we're done talking about it. We're always going to readdress and help push this fight to make awareness for this. But, being friends with you, Danique, people that have been through these situations. One, I'm proud of where you all are now and the fight that you're pushing to make the awareness. And I'll continuously say that over and over and over again. But it also breaks my heart that I wasn't there during those moments. And I know this is a bunch of what if to help stop that, because when I was in, I felt I was that type of leader. I felt that I was. And now I go back, I'm like, well, what if I missed something? What if I didn't do the right thing? And, so there's just so many things that are going through my head from a male's perspective who doesn't think like this, who was in the military and wants to help bring awareness to this. It's disgusting. It's absolutely fucking disgusting. And I don't know. It's just hard for me to talk about it sometimes.
Yeah. And it's those feelings that you have are exactly what a victim feels. Because I will tell you that after the incident, you have so many what ifs. You were like, I could have done this better. What if I hadn't gone out that night? What if I hadn't had that drink? What if I hadn't hung out with that person? Like, that is the entire being. That is like everything you think of for years afterwards. And it's like, imagine that emotion eating you for like years to go. You're just like, what if I had done something different? Would my life had changed drastically due to that? Like, would this not have happened? And it's a question that a lot of victims face. They're like, and they go with that question until they're able to at least get therapy. And even afterwards, they're like, what did I do wrong? And it's always something wrong with them. It's never the perpetrator. It's never the predatory response of these people. It's always the victim that is like, what did I do wrong? And it's like, you didn't do anything wrong. To all the victims out there watching this, you didn't do anything wrong. You did everything right that you felt you needed to do in that moment. If you were paralyzed in that moment, if you were unable to move, that was all you could do. You did what you needed to do. And whether you reported it or you didn't report it, that was your choice. And that was your right choice. There is no proper way to go about assault. It's like, however you deal with it is perfectly okay, unless like you're thinking of suicide or drug usage or like alcohol, please get help. But like, none of it was your fault. You didn't do anything. Your clothes didn't tell that guy, hey, come and assault me. And Billy, I already told you, somebody commented on my Pit Boy shirt tonight. This was what I was wearing when I was assaulted. This was the shirt I was wearing. I will still wear it because I love this shirt. It was a great shirt. But like, I didn't do anything wrong. And none of the other victims out there did anything wrong.
And the thing is, too, Maggie, I mean, that was all very well said, but even if you're lying there stock naked, that doesn't give anybody the right to violate your body or anybody else's body without consent. And I just think there's also such a culture of victim blaming that happens too. Because, like you said, all the time victims are asking, oh, well, is there anything I could have done differently? Maybe if I didn't wear that short of a skirt. And then people ask them, well, what were you wearing? You probably had too much to drink. You should have been flirting with them like so much throughout the night. You were leading them on. It's like, no, we have to get out of this culture of asking what the victim did wrong and start blaming the perpetrator, because that's who to blame. It's not the victim. The victim didn't do anything wrong. They're a victim.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, this isn't an easy subject for me and Hugh either. And, we've never been through anything like this ever. I've never experienced anything like this personally, or someone I've known directly went like right as it's happened. It's always been something like this. It's always been stories afterwards. And I can't imagine the females that have gone through these situations. Cause right now I'm dealing with just right now, I'm like, got like a few different emotions going on. I'm trying to like in my head figure this out, because like, I want to snap someone's fucking neck, but I also just want to I want to cry. Like, I can't even imagine. And then too, like with the On the DL podcast, Danielle and Lucky, the things they're doing over there also, to listen to those. And I know, Taylor, you guys are going to be on there pretty soon also. And to listen to how strong the women are on the coming through it.
Yep.
Is absolutely fucking amazing.
100%.
And it sucks, but it's also great to hear that these women are getting the help they need and are healing, no matter how long it takes, because we've all gone through whatever it is. Healing doesn't happen overnight, but you have to allow yourself to go through that process and be able to accept that you might need help. I think that's another big thing, is that people are sometimes, the fear of going and asking for help. So again, Taylor, it's amazing what you guys are doing.
Before I read this next story, I want to comment on the DL had I can't remember what episode it was that I was listening to today, but the woman who was on said when she was assaulted, she was 19 and she was afraid to report because she was drinking when it happened. And I think it's important to state that like one of those things happening does not trump the other thing happening. So if you're in a situation in which you're doing something that you should not have been doing, and then you're assaulted, you're raped, you're abused, that does not go away because you were doing this other thing you weren't supposed to be doing, right? Like, you're not going to get in trouble for underage drinking if you were raped or assaulted, or beaten.
Just to go off on that real quick, we have actually had women that have come forward on our page that had reported, but they were underage drinking at the time that the assault happened, and they actually have ended up getting in trouble for underage drinking.
And that's not right. That's not right. You're not. You should not supposed to be getting in trouble. I mean, like, I don't really know exactly what the rules are. Like, I don't know if you can or cannot be punished for underage drinking. But if you were drinking and you're underage and were assaulted, that does not diminish the level to which you were assaulted or what happened to you. That process still needs to play itself out before you deal with the fact that a minor was drinking. That it doesn't mean that person gets away with it. What's up,
yeah,
buddy?
they're like able to. The assailants were able to like walk off scot-free, and
yeah, the command says, we give you trainings every year on not raping and not drinking, but we clearly think it's more important that our 19-year-olds are not drinking than we think. We think that's worse than one of our sailors getting off scot-free with assault or harassment, and that's not right. That's not supposed to happen. Meg, do you want to ask your question and make a statement before I read this thing? And fucking,
I'm going to make a statement. So, in the court of law,
Record it all.
Assault is a felony crime. It is a federal crime. Underage drinking is a state crime. That is a state law. Each law has their own, or each state has their own drinking laws. They only follow it because they get tax money from the government to do 21. They really can do any age they want. So,
That's a thing all the states need to hear.
yes, a felony assault, a felony rape trumps anything that occurs on the state level. If there is a victim involved, that is washed away, especially for underage drinking. That's such a minor.
Well, and I
thing.
assume that
There's nothing
applies to the
missing
military
there.
too, because
Yeah, and
regardless
if
of
you
whatever the
really
state
want to
law
push
is.
times,
Well, I mean, like regardless of whatever the state's law is, the military says you can't drink unless you're 21. But if you're still a victim, then the underage drinking thing is far secondary to the assault.
yeah, which is it's so dumb.
It should
'cause
be.
it's like if they
I mean,
wanted
it
to-
is. Obviously, that's not how it's playing out for some of these people, but it
Yeah.
is. The assault is the primary thing you need to be concerned about, not your
And you know
sailor
what?
drinking.
A lot of those sailors that drank, it was somebody who was over 21 feeding them those drinks, who was
Oh,
buying
yeah.
it. Which, actually, if you're like a civilian, you get in more trouble for buying liquor for an underage person than if you're an underage person drinking. It's literally a slap on the wrist if you're underage. So why doesn't the military do that?
And I think it's baffling to me that somebody can get processed out of the military sooner for smoking a joint of marijuana than for sexually assaulting somebody.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Thank you for saying
Why
it.
is that a thing?
You go to Captain's Mess for smoke a weed, half month's pay times 2, 45 restriction, immediate process out of the Navy. You go to Captain's Mess for assault. Oh, it was a minor. Yeah, we got 4 months left in home port. We can work this out.
Or he's such a good sailor though.
Oh yeah, that's the
He's
worst
such a
part.
good sailor
That's the
and
worst
Marine.
fucking part. Oh,
Mm.
the fucking people go up and they stand up there and defend that person to the fucking CO. No, you should just be standing up there and be like, no, we crowdsource everybody. He's a cunt. Fuck, get rid of him.
Yeah. They'll
Yeah.
be like, well, he's such a good, so and so, such a good sailor, Marine, soldier. Like, there's no way. Like, even if he did do this, he's such a vital
He's
member
such
of
an
the
asset,
team.
to the military.
Mhm.
Losing him would be detrimental to the military's mission. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
All right, so I'm
It's
gonna go ahead. Go ahead, Meg.
No. Go ahead. I want
Read
you to
your
read
story
it.
here. Yeah.
All right, I'm not overtly excited about this. Here we go.
Hey, dude, just take your time, man.
All right, this is from an Air Force, an airwoman. Back in 2015, when I PCS to Offutt Air Force Base from Cannon, I was so happy. It was my BOO, and I apologize. I don't know all the lingo for the other
I
branches.
don't know what that means.
Yeah, so hopefully somebody helped me out during this. It was my BOO after I had reenlisted. I had chosen to come to Offutt to be closer to family, and almost immediately after getting to the office, I started in an office relationship with a person who was one rank higher than me and in a different flight, so we weren't in each other's supervision. That relationship lasted a short time, and it ended very badly. Pieces of information about my sexual preferences and, quote, how I liked it were talked about in the office, especially by one tech sergeant, which is a E6. He was reported without my knowledge, and I was forced to sit in a room and talk about the disgusting things he would say to me and about my mother. After that, my command called me in and said they did an investigation with OSI, which is a lie. And since none of the sexual harassment had been in an email or written down, nothing could be done. They also wanted to let me know he was going to be getting NCO of the year, as well as keeping his line number for Master Sergeant. Out fucking standing. Good job, Air Force. They wanted to tell me this first because they wanted to control my reaction when they announced it to the squadron. That's how they knew this was fucked up. I had so many panic attacks, and one was so bad I had to be taken to the clinic in an ambulance where they took me to the ER. Due to this increasing anxiety and depression, I started seeing a behavioral health BHOP at the clinic for about 6 months with a wonderful therapist. After 6 months, she decided I needed some more help along with medication, so she referred me to mental health to see a psychologist and a psychiatrist. I saw the psychiatrist about 4 months, and during that time, he started grooming me, and I started having feelings for him. He would ask extremely sexual, inappropriate questions during our sessions, as well as be overly flirtatious and offer up information about himself. I was in such a vulnerable and low point in my life. The kind of attention he was giving me felt really good, and I accepted it even though I knew it's not how it was supposed to work. After a while, still in therapy, I was on Tinder and I saw him on Tinder and I swiped and it actually matched, which shocked me. I never contacted him. However, he did reach out to me and he started talking to me. Eventually, he gave me his phone number and we were texting from morning to night. He would tell me he would meet up with me at places and then never show. He would say he would come over and never show. He invited me to his house once and I went and we had sex. This is known as transference and countertransference, and it is extremely ethically and morally wrong for a professional, especially a medical professional, to seek and have a personal sexual relationship with their patient. I was seeing him for sexual harassment, and he used that vulnerability and vulnerabilities from my childhood to groom me and manipulate me to have sex with him. Jesus fucking Christ. After this happened, his communication slowly trickled down, and I eventually never heard from him again. I reached out once more because my anxiety and depression were getting very bad, and I didn't know who to go to because I felt like I could not go to the mental health clinic because he was there. He never responded. If I was someone different or not as strong, I would have killed myself right at that point. I was medically separated from the military a year later, and a year after getting out and going through months of good, correct, healthy therapy, I reported him to SARC and OSI, which I'm pretty sure is the Office of Special Investigations. I was interviewed multiple times and gave every piece of information I could remember, to include drawing out the layout of his home and marks on his body, such as tattoos. They pulled over 100 pages of text messages, which were verified by a forensic computer scientist during trial prep. There was enough evidence that they offered him an Article 15 and he declined it. So he had to go into court-martial. He was convicted of both charges at the court-martial and sentenced to dismissal from the Air Force. The entire time I had from when I had reported him to when he was dismissed, he was not working. He was on lockdown, so he didn't have privileges to see patients, and he couldn't even look at patient files. Once they completed all the paperwork to completely remove him from the military, he stayed in Omaha and began practicing at a private clinic as a contact therapist. Jesus fucking Christ. Fucking A. My justice was done with the Air Force. They did what they were supposed to do. However, I did report to the Department of Human Health and Health Services in Nebraska in the licensure unit. It has been 3 years, and they have yet to reprimand him nor look at his case. He's still practicing. He's not being supervised. He's not going to therapy. He is every day put into a position where he can easily pick up loads of vulnerable women to abuse. My current therapist put it perfectly when she said that predators will always find a way to place themselves in positions that's easier for them to abuse. And this is exactly what he is doing. His records have not caught up to his civilian records, so he can keep on being a predator like he had been. Once I found out he was still practicing in the Omaha area, my anxiety and fear increased because not only was I scared for my family and myself, I was scared for every individual who walked into his office. So I informed his employer and I left a review online. This prompted him, my abuser, to seek out a restraining order against me. Being served by the sheriff with the restraining order for my rapist was probably on the top 5 humiliating moments of my life. I appealed the restraining order, hired a lawyer, spent money, but I wasn't even able to say one word at the hearing, and he was granted the restraining order against me, stating that people with my condition or who act like I do have a pattern of becoming violent, and he was scared for his personal safety and for the personal safety of his girlfriend. Mind you, I'm disabled, stay-at-home mom who had 2 shoulder reconstructions. I can't lift 25 pounds. He was married and had a girlfriend during the whole time. The restraining order technically says I can't speak about my story with his name because it's ruining his reputation. But what about my reputation? And what about my career I had to give up? It's about as unjust as I can see a situation right now. I'm under a gag order, but I will not let that stop me. Jesus flying fucking Christ.
I'm glad you read that one, Hugh. I was reading it as well, by the way.
Medical professionals are the fucking worst. They're the fucking worst.
Well, in the military, too, we've had an issue, which I didn't even know was a thing until I started this group, with MEPS doctors assaulting and saying inappropriate things to new recruits before they are processed into the military. There was a whole thread about it. Somebody had posted saying, I had this experience with a MEPS doctor, explaining their story. Has anybody had anything similar? And I think there were like at least hundreds of Meg, I don't know if you saw that post, but like at least hundreds of comments with similar stories, like, yes, he like, my MEPS doctor fondled my breasts or said X, Y, and Z to me, just saying really inappropriate things. And so that's something we're trying to get addressed as well.
So let me ask you, Taylor, you keep saying that you're trying to address these things.
Mm-hmm.
What's the next step moving forward for your group?
So I can't say exactly who we've spoken to.
Okay.
But we have had a meeting, myself and Jerry, with a higher senior enlisted official.
Mhm.
Basically discussing what we want to see improved, the policies that we think should be put in play, as far as like suggestions of how things can get better with, the SAPR program in the Navy and things like that. So we suggested that SAPR, instead of being a collateral duty, should be a civilian-based entity, meaning it would be civilians who are SAPR VAs taking the cases, helping victims, et cetera, because the issue is when you have, military members taking this on as a collateral duty, one, they're taking it on pretty much to make rank,
They're
to
taking it
make
off for that
chief.
eval.
Yeah,
Right?
for their
And that,
evaluations.
if you don't mind my interruption real quick,
No,
for those
go
of you
ahead.
that don't know, in the Navy, when we do our eval, there's 7 blocks in which you get ranked 1 through 5. One block is the equal opportunity block. And unless you have a collateral duty, such as SAPR VA, or you do something that is not restricted, what's the best way to put it? It's easier for me as a reservist. As a reservist, the only way you're getting higher than a 3.0 is if you're like a lawyer and you only help impoverished personnel, or you only help poor people in your community for free.
It's got to be a collateral duty outside the capacity of your rate.
Yes, but it can't be. It can't be like I'm also the supply rep and get higher than an equal opportunity. So to Taylor, what you were saying is we're talking about these people that get this collateral duty just so they can get that 4.0 or that 5.0 to push them higher up to get promoted. So yeah, you're right. We have people that take this collateral duty and they don't take it seriously. They got into it. So I'm sure some of them believe in what they're doing, but to the extent they're not trained or qualified to the level they need to be. And after 3 years at a command, and again, in the reserve, it's different. I know a master chief who's done 24 years at the same unit. But most personnel don't serve in a collateral duty for more than 3 or 4 years. You're going to transfer somewhere else, and you're going to get a new collateral duty, and you lose that continuity and that – I don't know what the follow-up is. I'm a little tipsy right now. But
No,
you're right. You're right to what your
so-
original statement was.
So that's one of the reasons that we don't want SAPR or, what I think SHARP is the Army Air Force one, Meg. SHARP.
Yeah, there is
sexual harassment and response prevention or something.
Yeah, something like that. So
there's
we don't want that
program,
to be
right?
Yeah, I think each of the branches has something different, but we don't want that to be military affiliated at all. That's like the end goal. Realistically, with the government's budget and everything, it's probably going to take a little bit longer than we would like it to. So our temporary goal is to make being a SAPR VA a billet or a rate. That way people have the proper training. They go through the proper psychological evaluations, background checks, et cetera, and they get this training annually. And that way, it alleviates the issue of like, oh, well, yeah, we have SAPR VAs at the command, and this is pretty much the only resource that you know about. Where, like I originally said, people are stacking up collateral duties for their evals, or people are friends with these alleged assailants, and they're like, oh, no, there's no way my buddy did that. I'm going to do whatever I can to get it swept under the rug.
Let me ask you about that, making it a billet or making it a billet. Are you talking about just like, hey, picking this billet at this location, and then when I leave, I'm going to go back to my job? Or is it like if you switch from active to full-time support, or you go career recruiter and that'll be it? That's what you're doing for the rest of your
Yeah,
career?
so we're trying to make it like just a rate pretty much. So the logistics of it and everything is just a little bit out of my area of expertise, but the senior enlisted official we spoke to is talking to people even higher up than he is. So he's gonna follow up with that with us, Jerry and myself, on that.
And these personnel, are you talking about them being assigned to a unit? If you made it a rate or a civilian person, would that person be assigned to a unit or a location?
So probably a location, and then they would have like when people would deploy, because one of the issues one of my admins is a CB chief.
Noise.
Or retired CB chief, yeah. So she had brought up, she's like, well, our deployments are really different and X, Y, and Z. And like, how would that work with the civilian entity if, people were to be assaulted on deployment? So we're going to try and create like, that's why we're trying to like make it a rate, is so people would be able to be deployed with like certain units or certain ships, certain squadrons, X, Y, and Z. So
okay.
It would,
and then
yeah.
Would they? So let's say, as an example, an aircraft carrier has got like 4,500 people on it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have one sapper VA, or is that person going to have like 2 or 3 sapper rated personnel, or are those personnel? Are you talking about them being a collateral duty underneath this individual who's obviously the expert in that field?
Yeah. So like details like that we're still working out, but
Okay.
I think it would probably be something like that where there would be like a head sapper VA, and then certain individuals would work underneath them, or underneath them, just to kind of alleviate these issues that we've been having.
Because then they would bring it to their head sapper person and say, that person would say, this is how you need to handle it, this is what you need to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And then hopefully that would, I'm sorry, Meg, hopefully that would eliminate them becoming friends with, I mean, it's going to be a lonely position. I mean, I know for me, whenever the safety person, as a CB, whenever the safety person comes around, we immediately take a smoke break. I don't want them to see me doing anything inappropriate or that violates the OSHA code. And presumably that person is going to have to be the same way. You're not going to be able to become friends with a ton of people on the ship, but it's a necessity because, like you said, currently these people holding collateral duties have been in the unit or in that, even just that community, and know people from their past. And you don't want them saying, no, I know that person. They wouldn't do that.
Yeah, it becomes a major conflict of interest overall. And it's just something we need to eliminate and drastically improve. I'm sorry, Meg, we keep interrupting you. What were you going to say?
That's fine. You guys are good. I was going to say, I feel like it would probably behoove them to also do like, yes, behoove. It would be,
oh gosh.
it would be good to do like a yearly review of these individuals to see like, hey, are you maintaining this level of professionalism? Like, yeah, if you want to make friends with the people on the ship, we understand it's a lonely job. But are you still understanding that this is your job? Because I know in the past, I had a female senior chief at one point that knew about my assaults and literally turned to me and was like, I hope you keep your mouth shut if anything happens in the future. And that is not what needs to happen. So, I mean, like, if there's like, okay, there's like 3 first classes on a carrier, and then there's like a senior chief who's in this billet, that they're not going to turn around and just be like, better keep your mouth shut. Like that they are held to a higher standard and that they are reviewed on like a yearly basis.
And not just them, but their cases as well need to be reviewed.
Right.
Audit a certain.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
So obviously there's a lot of logistics that you'll need to work out with this senior enlisted person. But what's amazing is that it's being heard at that level and even further. And I'm excited to see the changes that are going to come down the pipeline. And hopefully this does come to fruition and actually becomes part of Navy standard in the sense that it's not just some side collateral, that it's actually a career in the Navy and that the help is consistently there on a consistent professional level all the time.
I think it speaks volumes about your efforts already, that 2 months ago you had 0 people, and now you have just a myriad of stories and confessions, and are meeting with a senior enlisted personnel in the Navy to discuss this issue. I think those are leaps and bounds ahead of what other people have done before this. So it's very commendable to you and Jared.
Thank you.
Yeah, Taylor, thank you again so much for joining us today and, letting us take the opportunity to share your movement and what you and all the women are doing over there. And I just can't commend you guys enough for stepping up and making this known to the world. So, and, from our little podcast here, we got your back, and anything that we can do to, little things like this to help get the word out, we're more than happy to do it for you guys. So again, Taylor, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you guys
Thanks for being
for
here.
having me and allowing me to speak about my platform. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Looking forward to having you back with some good updates.
Yes,
All right.
me
Thank you,
too.
Taylor.
All right, Taylor, you have a good night.
You too. Bye, guys.
Bye.
So
The first thing that goes through my head when they're like, "What's the best way to solve this problem?" I'm like, murder.
yeah, like I was joking with Meg
Why?
earlier. It's like I start hearing the Purge theme music fucking playing, and I'm sitting there going like this. I'm like licking my chops, like,
Yeah, right.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
I'm like, let me go sharpen my
Dreams have come
knives.
true.
Oh, the captain's best went how? Murder it is.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm sitting over here like, let me put a bikini on, sharpen my knives up, be like, come here, boys. I'll show you a good time.
Jesus
It's like,
fucking
wait,
Christ.
what's happening? What are you talking about? Like,
It's just
well, listen,
worst.
I think
I'm gonna keep getting fucking drunk tonight.
thank you everyone who was
My
watching
eyes are already
tonight.
doing that.
Thank you, ladies, the ladies that were commenting tonight. We really appreciate it.
Yes.
Do me a
Really
favor.
sorry
I know
you
we've
did
said this.
stuff up there.
I know we've said that. We say this after every podcast, but especially this one. Share after we go off air tonight. Please share the hell out of this. Not for us, but for the movement. I think this podcast will help them out tremendously. So please, after we sign off tonight, share this to your personal pages. Share it to any veteran pages that you have. Let's help get this word out together as a collective. It means a lot to the three of us, and we want to see it grow even further and watch these, like I said, watch these changes happen within the Navy. So, yeah, I need
Don't
a drink.
cry, Billy.
Yeah,
Don't
I've
cry.
already cried twice on this podcast. You know what? I'm fucking okay with it. I don't give a shit. How about that? Tissue
Yes,
ready.
make Billy
I
cry.
don't give a fuck. How about that? I'm an emotional big motherfucker. I don't care.
Aw.
All right, guys, we will be back here again Monday night. We have a guest for Monday night, Hugh.
Yes, we do. My friend Brittany Thomas is going to be on here. She works with. She's told me before, but every time she's told me, we're always drinking with a bunch of people. But I know it has to do with the military, medicine, and specifically right now, COVID-19. So she's got
You're a
some
good
information.
friend.
I do okay. So she's going to be on here to tell us some information related to COVID-19, the military, and what is being put out, and maybe debunk a couple of things for us. I'm looking forward to it. I'm quite excited, to be honest.
Quite excited.
Yeah.
Well, you two fuckers, it was always a pleasure. I hope you two have a wonderful weekend, and we will see everyone on Monday night. Y'all have a great one.
Goodbye.
God, Hugh is always